Good morning, CSL. So you know at CSL that we have 7 core values, and it's important to know what your core values are and what you stand for in life. Our core values are love and healing and oneness and abundance and spiritual growth and service and diversity. And the core value that we're highlighting today is oneness. You know, our teaching got started about the early 20th century, and there was a man named Judge Thomas Troward, and he was a judge and he was also a mathematician and what he called a mental scientist. And he broke down the universe into a simple mathematical formula, being the left brain guy that he is, and he said the formula for the universe is 1 plus 0 equals 1. And by that he meant that there is a power that is at the helm of the universe that is directed solely by love, and there is nothing else. There's God plus nothing else. This is an interesting concept in a Western sort of environment. It's more Eastern to understand that life is perpetuated by a single intelligence, a single source. But it is the basis and the foundation for who we are in science of mind and all that we teach. There are not 2 powers in the universe duking it out for the souls of humankind. There's not a power for good and a power for bad duking it out and all this chaos and craziness in between. There is only one life. There is only one power. There is only one love. Oneness is our core value of the day. To go along with the oneness being the core value, we also do our Flames of Faith. You know, CSL is part of a global community that has over 500 centers worldwide, and we're a spiritual community that honors all religions and all faiths in the world, and that's because we know there is no wrong way to worship, whether you're lighting a candle, repeating a mantra, or offering a prayer. So we respect and we honor any way that draws anyone closer to Spirit, so we celebrate the diversity in religious faiths with our ceremony that we call the Flames of Faith. The candle was lit for the Tao to honor the universal path of harmony, the natural way. The candle is lit for the shamanic traditions, honoring the belief and practices of all indigenous peoples worldwide. The candle is lit for Hinduism to honor the spiritual path of devotion and the variety of religious icons and deities. The candle is lit for Judaism to honor the path of sacred law. The candle is lit for Buddhism to honor the 4 noble truths and the way of compassion. The candle is lit for Christianity to honor the Christ awareness and consciousness that lives in all of us. The candle is lit for Islam to honor the path of peaceful submission to the will of God. The candle is lit for the universalistic religion of Baha'i to honor the path of unity. And the candle is lit for our own faith, which we call metaphysics or New Thought, to honor the metaphysical path and the practice of universal spiritual principles. And finally, as always, and every month, we light the final candle for peace and for the peaceful acceptance of all faiths and religious practices worldwide. You know, if you scan the list of books in the New York Times bestseller list, you'll find a lot of them are about business or leadership or marketing. And I think it's because we like to read books about success. We're inspired by people who've achieved greatness at some point in their lives, especially if they've had to face some particular challenge along the path. We also happen to like really shiny, happy people and TV sitcoms where every life problem in the whole world gets resolved within 24 minutes. We love this kind of thing. Do you remember the episode of The Brady Bunch when Marcia got hit in the nose with a football by her brothers? Oh my God, she was devastated because she had a date that Friday night with her new boyfriend, Doug, and her nose was all bruised and it was all swollen. I mean, talk about a major life issue. Poor Marcia. You know, it is our fantasy that life can be that simple and that all of our problems can be solved in 24 minutes. We want life to be that way. We really do. We want the world to be black or white, with right on one side and wrong on the other side and absolutely nothing in between. But the truth is, there's a thin line of white on one side, a thin line of black on the other side, and there's this huge gray area in between. And that's where we all live, all of us, in the massive gray area of life where feelings are not simple, they're complex, and people don't always do the right thing, and relationships, they're just challenging. This is where the rubber hits the road in the human experience, and that's why everybody gets hurt. Everybody in this human lifetime and experience gets hurt. In your own life, I'm sure by now, really honestly, no matter how old you are, I'm sure by now someone has either lied to you or stolen from you or betrayed you or cheated on you or abused you in some way. This is just what happens in a world full of unconscious, fearful people who are all wandering around out there in their lives just trying to find their way through the dark to the light. We bump into each other and we hurt each other. Sometimes intentionally we hurt others through our own anger and our own resentment, but mostly we hurt others unconsciously and unintentionally because of our own unprocessed pain. Either way, that's the case. We all have something and someone to forgive. And to meet the need of forgiveness, CSL is launching a month-long program to help you heal and forgive. Check this out. Roll the video. To go along with the program, on the media, in the media lobby, in the media wall in the lobby, you'll find 3 cards, and one card says, "Start here." The other card says, "Take action." And the other card says, "Join the convo." On the back of the cards are tools that you can use to start the forgiveness process, and it is a process, by the way. That's why we're dedicating the entire month of September to it. And for our viewers online, obviously you're not here and in person and you can't pick up these cards. All you have to do is go to CSLFTL.org/convo and you'll see it all there. Also, every single Wednesday, starting this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hosting a 1-hour meeting on Zoom about the forgiveness story that I share with you and inviting you to join in the conversation by sharing your own. You can register on the CSL app or by going to that address, CSLFTL.org/convo. Our series is inspired by our book of the month, which is by Catherine Schwarzenegger Pratt, and the book is called The Gift of Forgiveness, and the subtitle is Inspiring Stories from Those Who Have Overcome the Unforgivable. This is how it got started. On the cold December morning in Connecticut, at December 14th, 2012, Scarlett Lewis walked her 6-year-old son Jesse to the curb where her father was waiting in the car to take him to school. And when she turned around to say goodbye to her son, she saw that he'd written, "I love you," in the frost in the window of the car. It was a typical morning, and she was doing what every mother does who sends her children off to school, expecting and trusting that they'll go home. But Jesse didn't come home from school that day, and he never did again. He, with 20 other children and 6 adults, would become victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre perpetrated by 20-year-old Adam Lanza. This, of course, is a mother's worst nightmare, to lose a child. If your child dies in an accident or perhaps by some obscure disease, maybe in time you can learn to live with that kind of pain and that kind of grief. But when your child is murdered in a senseless act of violence and the murderer takes the gun and turns it on himself, there is no justice, there is no closure, there are no answers. And all you are left with is this gut-wrenching, horrible pain. And so now there you are. How do you overcome that kind of pain? How can a mother ever get past this kind of loss? How can you go on with your own life without being permanently destroyed any little happiness that you might have in your future? Jessie struggled to find a way. She said this, "When you look at your son's dead body for the first time, his tiny little casket, and your 6-year-old son lying with a bullet hole there in his forehead, you feel a tremendous amount of anger." I know you can relate to that, and so can I. It is the anger I felt last week when 13 American soldiers were killed at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. It is the anger that I feel every single time there's another mass shooting in this country. It's the anger I feel every single time when there's another hate crime in this country. It's the anger the president felt when he said to the ISIS group that perpetrated this violence, "We will not forgive, we will not forget, we will hunt you down and kill you." That is always going to be our knee-jerk human reaction. Hurt the one who hurt you. Do to them what they did to you. It is normal to feel that way. It is valid. In fact, I would be surprised if that wasn't Jessie's response. She should be angry. She has a right to her anger. And so do you. You have a right to your own anger, to be angry at the person who harmed or hurt you. You are entitled to your pain and your anger. But the challenge is not to get trapped in that hell, to not stay angry for the rest of your life, to not let the grief of your loss infect the rest of your life and steal your joy. And that, my friends, is a big, big challenge that very few people are equipped to handle. Scarlett told the story of the first time she went back to her home after her son was killed. She had to go back into her home to get clothes to bury him in. And as she passed through the kitchen, she found a message that Jesse had left that he had written on the chalkboard in the kitchen. Before the day he was killed, he wrote 3 words on the kitchen chalkboard. Nobody saw him do this, so it's a mystery, but they were there. The 3 words were nurturing, healing, love. They were, of course, misspelled because the 6-year-old didn't know how to write that way, but the message got through. Nurturing, healing, love. Now, did he write this message for her and for the family to have after his death? Did somehow his soul know on that day before he left or the days prior that this would be his last communication with his family? Did something in him say, write these 3 words on the kitchen chalkboard? We'll never know the answer to those questions because they're in the gray area that I was talking about before, the large place where we all live our lives. And in that place of the unknown, all there is mystery and paradox. But no matter how those words got there, whether they came from this world or the next, Scarlett took those three words as an invitation from her son to move on with her life, to find a way to healing through forgiveness. And what she learned is that forgiveness starts with a choice, and then it becomes a process. But you see, the process doesn't start, and the healing can't happen until you first make that choice. You make a conscious choice to let it go. This is the road to freedom. It is by taking your power back. It is standing before God and the universe and saying, I am not willing to spend one more day of my life in anger. I'm not willing to spend one more day of my life in pain. I'm not going to let what happened in my past destroy my future. Here's Scarlett's powerful reclamation in her own words. She said, if I did not forgive Adam, it would give him power over my thoughts, which affect my feelings, which then affect my behavior. I would literally be giving him control over me, and I would become another victim of the Sandy Hook shooting. You see, forgiveness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a healing journey that only the courageous are willing to take. You know why? Because it's a lot easier to stay angry, because you got good reasons. It's a lot easier to maintain your self-righteous position because you were right and they were wrong. It's a lot easier to be the victim. But for those who are courageous enough, like Scarlett Lewis, who are really intent on finding a way through the anger and the hurt, it all starts with that choice, a conscious choice to not let what happened to you define your character for the rest of your life. After hearing her story, you know by now what I know, that this is an extraordinary woman who made an extraordinary choice to heal and not succumb to the pain and anger of her situation. And like all of those successful businessmen and women who made the New York Times bestseller lists, Scarlett Lewis should be held in high regard as a model of success for all of us on the road to forgiveness. She didn't want her son's death to be in vain, to just be a victim of another mass shooting in America. And she kept going back to those three words that he left on that chalkboard for her, that he wrote there: nurturing, healing, love. And so she used them as inspiration to found a new organization called the Jessie Lewis Choose Love Movement, which offers to the world at no cost social and emotional learning programs for kids pre-K through 12th grade. In Jessie's name, the legacy continues, and now the Choose Love Foundation and program have helped thousands and thousands of children worldwide. Here's an example of what they do. Check this out. Roll the video.
Kids bully each other because they want to off-put their pain onto someone else, and they want to have a sense of control. What happens when you feel out of control? You get angry. Why do kids do drugs? Because they want to reduce their anxiety. They want to feel good. They want to get high. They want to belong. Why do kids join gangs? They want that sense of belonging. They're ultimately looking for love. You know, we have a negative bias in our society. We focus on the negative, and we see a lot of that programming in our schools. And what happens when you focus on the negative? It grows. We're constantly scanning for danger. Our thoughts create our perception of our reality. And as Wayne Dyer says, loving people live in a loving world. Fearful people live in a fearful world. It's the same world. I think it's easy to go down a fearful path, but that is not a productive path. There's really only two kinds of people. There are good people and good people in pain. And that's a really hopeful statement because we can all do something to help ease another's pain. Because we're all the same in the want and need to love and be loved. We look at each other and we see perceived differences, but in actuality, we are all exactly the same. We need love. We want to belong. And we want to feel good. We want to be happy. We're all the same in those things. So even though you can't always choose what happens to you, you can always choose how you respond, and you can always respond in love. Social emotional learning is really the number one way to cultivate a safe school environment, because you're cultivating the safety from inside a child out. Protocols, external safety measures, those are important, but it's only social emotional learning that's going to do that, because kids that can have healthy and positive relationships, that have deep and meaningful connections with one another, that are resilient and can manage their emotions. In other words, kids that choose love and love one another, they are not going to want to harm one another. We have the solution within us. It's just cultivating the skills and tools that we need. Social emotional learning is not innate. These skills and tools are not something that we're born with. We have to learn them. But the great news is they're easy to teach and easy to learn. Go to your schools. Ask if you have a social emotional learning program. If you do, how's it working out? Great. If you don't, we have a free, comprehensive pre-K through 12th grade social and emotional learning program that teaches kids how to choose love in any situation. Love is the only thing that can transcend what is going on here now, and we all have the ability to choose love, and that honestly is what is going to be the ultimate solution.
Only two kinds of people, good people and good people in pain, she says. Step one in the forgiveness process, which is on your Start Here card, is called Gain Perspective. Those who hurt people are generally people who've been hurt themselves. The pain that they inflicted on you is probably an unconscious response to some negative past experience they themselves have had. This step is what Scarlett used to help her find her way to forgiveness, to help her gain perspective on what happened on that cold December day. She started to learn about the shooter, Adam, and she found out that he was a victim of severe bullying when he was a child. She learned that when he was in first grade, he handed out birthday invitations to all the kids in school, and not a single person came to his party. Listen to me, this is very important. People who are not loved and who do not feel loved become a danger to themselves and others. So even though this man took her own son's life, through learning about his story and gaining perspective, she started to feel compassion for him. And this was part of the process that led her to forgive him. Of course it took time. Of course there were days when she wasn't feeling so generous or certainly so compassionate. But in the end, her commitment was to heal, to recapture her joy, to take her power back, and to not let anyone steal it from her. And not only did she do that for herself, she found a way to help others and leave the world better than she found it. The story of Scarlett Lewis is just one of the stories of forgiveness that we have to share with you this month. I hope they'll inspire you to take your power back and begin the forgiveness process now by making that conscious choice for yourself. We are here to help. Join us every Sunday and be part of the conversation by joining us at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night in the Zoom meeting. Until then, be safe, be well, choose love. And so ends the lesson. This is a heavy subject, and one of the most difficult spiritual practices is to release and let go of the pain that you might have carried around for years, maybe even decades. This is a challenge for all of us, to be able to first say, yes, that hurt me, and it hurt me deeply. It's a challenge to move through the emotional pain and the anger of it, because we don't want to feel the pain. But to get to the other side of it, to heal, to find the joy and let it return, we have to go through the process. Let's take some time to go within now.
I breathe out, I breathe in, I am still, I go within. When I quiet my mind, in the stillness I find. Spirit meets me there. Spirit meets me there.
The longer you are away from Source, you begin to forget why you're really here. The more you live in a world where people are confused and hurting each other, it begins to appear like you're just here to dodge bullets and survive pain. But the truth is, you came from love. At the center of your heart is joy. You came into life with it. Whatever has happened to you, around you, might have taken you off the path of love and joy, but you can always return. Because it's what you're made out of. It's what you come from. It lives at the center of your being. So no matter what happened to or around you, something in you is always greater. Something in you is far more powerful. Something in you is designed to heal and is healing now. Let's take some time to be still and listen. As you go through the healing process, the most important thing is to be gentle with yourself. Is to give yourself permission to feel every feeling that comes up. There are no wrong feelings. All of them are valid. To allow yourself the experience to go through the process, partnered by the power that can create a universe and a love that has no condition. With the strength from that power and the infiniteness of that love, your healing is guaranteed. And so it is.
I breathe out, I breathe in, I am still, I go within. When I quiet my mind, in the stillness I find. Spirit meets me there. Spirit meets me there.
So we close every service with the affirmation and prayer, and your affirmation is just like mine. Let's say it together. Love will always win because love is all there is. Let's know this together. There is no power in the universe greater than love. It is the reason, the purpose for all of our existence, for everything and everyone that's created. We all come from love, an unconditional, eternal love that lives in our hearts, surrounds us, we are enveloped in. This love is our true home. It is our true source. It is the healing and the healer itself. Let's make a conscious choice to return to that love. Let's remove every obstacle to it. Any pain, any resentment, any upset is minuscule in proportion to this infinite love. Let's allow ourselves to be healed and call for it right now in this moment and trust that it is done unto us as we have just said. Love has healed us here now. And so it is. We'll see you again next week, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a great week. Thank you for watching, and thanks for supporting CSL. If you'd like to know more about us, check us out on our website or social media. Blessings.